announcements before we go into the regular business. I just learned we have some students here from Tenafly Middle School. Is that true? And what are you guys here for tonight? Ladies, I can't see everything. What are you here for tonight? Well, Kim, come step up to the microphone. What grade are you guys in? What grade are you in? You seem like a spokesman. Come up for a second.
And I'm going to ask a lot of questions because I teach 8th grade social studies in another town. So, and I've made my students go to meetings and they've hated me for it. I get it.
This is impromptu. You're not practiced at all. So it's the best time to speak publicly for the, one of the first time. So what's your name and what's the project you're working
My
on?
name is Troy Knox, and the project is called Project Citizen. It's like this project where you have to, well, we chose the second one, which is to say something about how to improve the town or the school.
Okay, great. Wonderful. We need your help. Okay, why don't you bring the whole gang up? Come on, guys, just come up and introduce yourself, then you can sit down. Thank you.
And those two too.
You guys in the same project?
You're a new sign-in, I don't know.
A different group.
Why don't you introduce yourself, give us your name and,
Hello, my name is Eugene Lee, 8th grader at Tenafly Middle School.
fabulous, fabulous.
Hi, my name is Daniel Carrillo. I'm also an 8th grader at Tenafly Middle School.
All right, wonderful. So you're all four working on the same project? Okay, it's right. Do you want to come up and say hello? All right. Nice to meet you guys, and good luck with your project. Tell your teacher we said
We
hello.
also have
More students.
Oh, there's two more students. Come on, one of you come up. You're not going to get away, or both of you come up. So you're working on a different project than these four gentlemen?
It's the same project. It's like, but we're working on, I guess, we're presenting different issues.
Okay, great. What's your name, by the way? What is it?
Aiden.
Nice to meet you. Good luck on the project. Go ahead, sir.
Shoot, I'm also an 8th grader.
All right, well, thank you, and good luck with your project. Thank you, guys. All right, so one more announcement. We have a new deputy treasurer here in Tenafly. Her name is Angela McCain. Angela, why don't you step up to the microphone? Angela was most recently with the borough of Montvale, and prior to that, the borough, or the town of Nutley. And with Kathy's retirement, of course, we needed a new deputy treasurer, and here she is. Welcome aboard. Why don't you just say hello and give everyone your name?
Hello, my name is Angela McCain, and I would like to thank Borough of Tenafly for the opportunity as the deputy treasurer.
Thank you. Why don't we go around the table, starting with Dan, introduce ourselves, everyone.
Councilman Dan Park.
Councilman Jeff Grossman. Now you were in Montvale before?
Yes.
You know Doug Arindax?
Yes.
Don't tell him we poached you. He'll be very angry and try and arrest me or something.
Welcome. I'm Lauren Dayton. We met the other day. Thank you for being here tonight. Thank you.
Hi, Wendy Rubenstein, the borough attorney.
Mark Zinner, the mayor.
Jimmy Holmesy.
Hi, Councilman Van Uenen.
So much.
Okay. Welcome aboard. Best of luck.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you for joining us. And by the way, she lives right next door in Englewood, so we can bring her into meetings whenever we need her. All righty. Okay. Thank you, everyone, for that indulgence. First up on the agenda tonight is a presentation of a proclamation for the holiday festival of Vishu. Venu, did you want to read this?
Yeah, probably. It's probably better.
Okay, why don't you go ahead, please? Thank you.
A proclamation, whereas Vishu is a holiday celebrated by people from the South Indian state of Kerala and the worldwide Keralite diaspora to mark the beginning of the new year. Whereas Vishu is on the first day of the Hindu lunar month of Madam, according to the Hindu lunar calendar, and which falls on the 15th day of April, according to the Gregorian calendar. Whereas in Sanskrit, Vishu means equal and connotes the equinox on the day of Mesha Sankranti. whereas three traditional elements of Vishu celebrations are the Vishu Kani, the Vishu Kainitam, and the Vishu Valam, whereas it is believed that to have a happy and prosperous year ahead, the first sight one should see on the morning of Vishu is the Vishu Kani, which is a collection of auspicious items such as fruits, grains, vegetables, flowers, lamps, coconut, gold, a mirror, a water-filled pot, a piece of cloth, and so on, all accumulated on a large circular plate or vessel, along with an image of Sri Krishna, and this is meant to reflect beauty, light, and abundance. Whereas the custom of Vishu Kainitam involves elders of the family gifting money to children and others to share in the happiness of the day. Whereas Vishu corresponds to similar New Year holidays celebrated in other Indian states, which are also observed on this day, such as Poila Baisakh in Bengal, Baisakhi in Punjab, Puthandu in Tamil Nadu, and Bihu in Assam. Whereas over 600,000 people from the state of Kerala have migrated to the United States, and a significant number of the approximately 400 Tenafly residents and over 40,000 Bergen County residents of Asian Indian background similarly have their families' origins in Kerala and celebrate Vishu annually. Now, therefore, the Borough of Tenafly Mayor and Council does hereby recognize the New Year's holiday of Vishu and wishes all people from Kerala, along with all of the residents in the Borough of Tenafly, a happy Vishu or Vishu Ashamsakal. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Manning. I appreciate that. Okay, next up on the agenda is the to be considered IT update. Jimmy, why don't you walk us through that, please?
Yeah, so the borough has a shared service agreement with the school for IT services, which the agreement expires, I believe, at the end of June of this year. So I thought it was appropriate. I know there was several questions asked about the services and the agreement we have with the school, so I thought it would be appropriate. And to have the IT director, Bob Caputo, at the school. He offered to come just to speak and address any of the questions about the services. So I thought it'd be appropriate to have him attend the mayor and council meeting to speak of some of the IT services and what they provide exactly to the borough.
Bob, you want to step up to the microphone? So thank you for being here this evening.
Yes. Caputo, I'm a technology coordinator. My pleasure to be here. Explain kind of a little bit, no, not everything. It's going to be, got some talking points on what we do, the borough. Now, just to clarify anything that anybody questions, there's a lot of new people here. As far as I know, doing this with the borough for about 20 years. That's as far back as I go. Because none of my guys are there anymore, so it's like 20 years to my oldest guy. He says he's been doing it since he's been there. I think we have a great relationship. And so we service technology responsibilities for all the buildings, our whole complex here. These fire EMS, library, teen center, offices, DPW, recycling, senior center, Davis Johnson, the park. As far as I know, this could be an approximate. We have about 80 computers, 20 Chromebooks, about 140 users. With our services, you're getting technology coordinator, 10 years in the district. My network engineer, which is got 20 years in the district. My network administrator is 18 years in the district. I have a level 1 and level 2 tech, I've been here about 5 years. They are all extremely familiar with the borough. All it's growing with technology through all these years. We've been there, we've been a part of it, and we've helped maintain it. With that also, you're getting our help desk software and support. So if anybody's got any issues, they put in a help desk. We can monitor that. We can have faster support. Contract calls for a 24-hour response time. So at least we will respond to a call in 24 hours. Doesn't mean it's gonna be fixed in 24 hours. I think we will buy with somebody, either on a phone, send somebody down here, and start the process of seeing what the problem is. We also offer secure remote access, whether it's through our virtual desktop, VDI, or some sort of VPN solution that we've had in the past, still maintained, but now we basically use the VDI, which is our virtual desktop. With our services, you also get our internet access. So you have a piece of fiber to go from us to our data center. At our data center, we have two different paths for our internet access. Our primary is with LightPath, which we have a 3 gig circuit. We also have a backup with Verizon. So it's redundant, so if anything happens to one of our lines, not only are these redundant lines, I had them run different paths back to our school. So if a tree falls over here, it doesn't take down both of my internet lines. Doesn't make sense. So one of the paths comes this way, the other path comes down some different roads, comes down to the other side of the building. We all meet in our data center. It helps us keep up with it all the time. If we lose any one of our internet providers for whatever reason, the other one picks up automatically. We don't even know the difference. We also do filtering, so we also have redundant filtering. So all our web filters are redundant. Again, same thing. If one goes down, we still keep up another one. With that also comes reporting. So if there's any issues or problems in the district, we can pull up history and historical data on people's web traffic. We also have redundant checkpoint firewalls. It keeps us secure. Has other functions I'll mention later, but we have two firewalls as well. Same redundancy with the filtering. If any one goes down, the other one picks up, no problem. You do your email exchange using an Outlook client right now. All this stuff is always evolving and changing. Maybe changing. Always keep the town involved in our progress or changes that we're looking to make. We also do email archiving. Any email that comes into your inbox, we archive. Keep it. Do not delete it. It's in there forever. We go back right now to 2000. The law says 7 years. As long as I can hold it, I'm willing to hold it. We're in the process now of doing upgrades for our backup strategy. That's also going to include our email archiving so that when we do that, we upgrade. This space gets cheaper. We always expand so we can keep what we have and just move on and just keep as much as we can. We also do anti-spam, web access. We always help you guys set up the phones if you have your phones or any other devices that need to be on our exchange. And we also use it to retrieve for open requests. Retrieve that, and we have a secure SFTP server. Files get very large, and we can put that up there. It's a very secure way for your lawyers or whoever to bring it back down and get it without having to go through email or wireless. So, like most things we do at the borough, we're just giving it to you cost. So when we did the wireless upgrade and you guys wanted to expand and do wireless upgrades, we'll walk the buildings, Timmy, we said what location you want, here, here, here. This is what our access points are going to cost. They're still up here right now. We want to expand the coverage in this room so we can add more devices. So we put them in there, we give you a cost. This is how much it costs per. It's my cost. I'm not making money on any products. And with that, we just bought 380 of these for the high school. You're jumping onto that price.
Can you tell me?
So if I'm buying 380, I get 340, and you guys, it's the extra 10 that I'm getting for you guys, it just gets built into our cost. So we also set up and maintain it. So we set up your guest accounts, and things. With that project, we also ran some cabling and wiring that we manage. Also, all Active Directory user accounts and security access permissions. So you're a new person that just starting now, your treasurer. I just told them, make sure you tell them to let us know so we can get you set up for Monday so that when you come in, you're ready. So we set up all that onboarding and offboarding staff. We also supply desktops, desktop laptop. We do Office Professional, which is Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, Publisher, and Access. We also have installed Adobe Creative Suite, which includes Adobe Acrobat Pro, which is very costly. We also install endpoint security, which security is becoming more and more relevant, especially when it comes to insurance companies, dealing with this at school as well. So one of the things we put on your computers, all your computers, the endpoint security software suite. Also ties into our checkpoint firewalls. So there's a sandbox, to give an example. If you open a file on your machine, it opens it up in the sandbox first, does a scan, and then sends it down. You're going to download it. It's anti-malware. It's a firewall on your local machine that will write firewall rules on the fly. So if it sees your machine is doing something out of the ordinary, it will write something on the fly on its own to stop it from happening. Application control, anti-bot, URL filtering locally, threat emulation, and anti-exploit. It also does forensics. So if you get something happens on your machine, we can look back in the logs. It shows the exact path of where it started. Again, it's a whole suite of software. Servers in our enterprise data center. Our data center is it's basically, you're not going to get much. It's on a generator, which we did in Borough as well. It handles file storage, applications such as Edmonds and Mitchell Humphreys, which we do. Also, do backups of all of those servers. Again, same strategy. We can back it up and keep it. I don't have a retention policy set right now. So we're actually going through right now as part of our upgrades, the backup strategy that's going to help us in case we get some kind of encryption virus. So it doesn't encrypt on any backups, which is everybody's big worry. So that's going to be a large investment, but it helps us, it helps you.
Clarifying question, Oprah requests, what's the term legacy,
Record-wise, 7 years, 6 years?
What's the Oprah?
because it's about.
Maybe Omar should answer that question.
So we need that. That's it.
Yes, no, exactly. And the reason why I keep it also, one of the reasons that you have an open request goes back 7 years. Say, okay, something happens today. And 7 years back, stops. So if this continues for 3 years, I need to maintain that 3 years back. So now I got to maintain 10 years. Because the Oprah was started now, it's a legal issue, it's going to go back. So we got to make sure, I'd rather just keep everything I can. Like I said, same thing as the.
Let's see if some other council members have questions on what you've talked about so far. Yes, Councilwoman Dayton.
So, thank you, Mr. Caputo, for being here tonight. I'm not interested in renewing this contract. I have found my service and the amount of issues I've had just very, very disheartening, very dissatisfied. And it's not a reflection upon you, but I think the entanglement between the systems is not working for me as a council person. Number one, I want to actually reiterate something about Oprah. And maybe I shouldn't make this public, but my personal email, my child's Google Docs, and my council email all became entangled. And so my children's first grade teacher a year and a half ago in the pandemic was having access to my council work. And that was a major problem. And I wrote in, I heard nothing back. I have no solution to that. I literally just had to delete every single document that I had stored or saved on a Google Drive and delete it. And that shouldn't be the case for Oprah purposes. It should have been preserved. I found the service inadequate on the part of the technology company and the technology people who were trying to work with me found no solution. And I will tell you in Oprah, so I'm an attorney, I do Oprah requests on the opposite side. I mean, that's not acceptable. So the council really does need a designated and separate server. We need our stuff to not be entangled with the school stuff, with the Board of Ed or the student stuff. And I can't stress that enough. We have a legal obligation to preserve these documents. We have a legal obligation to turn them over to our clerk if he asks for them. And I don't want to be responsible for lost information or for information that, God forbid, is attorney-client privilege that loses its privilege status. So that's a huge concern for me. It hasn't been addressed to date. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that I actually couldn't get an answer for weeks. I was writing, and we do not have a designated person over at the BOE technology office for the borough. There should be a 24-hour person that is the borough's. I know our CFO has sometimes needs help. I know our staff sometimes needs IT issues. Those of us on council right now have issues. As I sit here today, I was laughing before we started. I didn't realize it was going to be a technology conversation immediately. I couldn't get on the internet. I still can't get on the internet as we sit here. There is something to be said that our borough in this day and age is not technologically savvy enough that I can't sit here and look something up that I need in the middle of my council meeting without going through 6 walls of security and something else. There's no council training for technology. I know when we onboarded our new council members after me, they didn't get any training. They didn't get any training on how to use the passwords. I still, to this day, I'm 5.5 years in, I have no idea how to use Exchange. No one's ever explained that to me, how I can get my council email other than through my council computer. So there's no training, again, and I write emails also numerous times because I run out of space. And my email and all of the things I'm saving, and sometimes they're large documents because they're engineering, it gets wiped. And so then I go to my email and there's nothing there. And then I can't get somebody for a week and I have no access to old emails. And you guys have revived them now at least twice for me. But how do I run out of space when I'm saving documents that I need for future council meetings? So all of this isn't working for me. I'm happy to work as we go forward, but as is, I don't want to renew this contract. There's too many issues. And I'm sorry, it's not your fault, but I'm just explaining to you, so maybe you can go back and figure that out. But, there's so much right now that our borough needs. We have 100, like you said, 140 employees, plus all of us who use this technology, and we are not getting the service that we need for over $100,000 of a technology contract.
So let me address one thing.
Okay, a lot of stuff to digest.
Yeah, so, and let me put this.
Go ahead.
Straight to the topic, Dave.
Go ahead.
So, the Google at home. Okay. Now, in order for that to happen was that somebody took their Google account and merged.
Nobody did.
That's what happened. It's the only way it happened.
It didn't.
We do not suggest that students, parents, same computer, can log in at the same time. You go home, you log into your computer. Child goes in, logs in as them. You got 2 people logging into that same computer. Now, if your child by accident says, it pops up and says, oh, do you want to merge accounts? It says yes. It merges those 2. There's no way to unmerge those. That's a Google.
And that's a security issue and that's an Oprah issue for me as a council person.
This is why.
She's 12 and she did not merge it and I did not merge it.
There's no other way for it to happen. I'm not arguing with you.
It was she was 5th grade at the time and 3rd grade.
Recommend on the,
Another day for
yeah,
that.
this level of detail is too much.
Yeah, so.
My point is that it's not secure.
I understand I think the policy question or the operational question is
We could
100%
discuss
valid to be discussed, but the details, let's keep it
Agreed.
offline.
But it's not secure and it's not Oprah. Oprah, that's a problem.
Good. Let's just see what other questions we have from council, okay?
No,
Who else?
Want to address more of that?
Yeah, you want more of that?
I'll just, yeah, whatever,
Go ahead.
I have that.
Few more.
Just recently, we just, as it comes larger in exchange, you never lose anything. So your emails, your thing, it's more manage your emails. So you can have 2 things that are pictures. Let's say they're 20 meg each. Well, we're giving you over a gig of space, right? So those 2 pictures can take up most of your mailbox. But you can always delete that because it's always in the archive.
But if I need to use them, I also need to be able to receive emails.
Always in your archive.
But there's been numerous times where people can't contact me as a council person. Professionals can't contact me because my email has emptied or is full.
It's full.
It's full, and then that shouldn't happen. I need to be able to do my job. I need to be able to do my job efficiently. You know, I had massive amounts of work in my professional day job that, and never, ever, somebody couldn't email me because it was full. It just seems unprofessional. Back in the day, I mean.
I got it.
back
But
in the day.
emails are-
Listen,
emails now.
are you, I mean, are you,
Anytime
the
you told
exchange
us-
the same as the cloud?
Anytime you told us, space we increase. Anytime.
And with a disruption to my
How
job,
many times has it been?
at least 3 since I've been council.
I can look back on that as well.
Mhm.
So anytime you reach that, it's more of managing your inbox is not your file server or your thing. Keep these giant files. So I'd say is you should download those, put them in your files. Now you have virtual access, VDI. So,
So I don't even know what that is as a council person.
okay, so you can go in with a virtual desktop through a web browser, any web browser. through your
Again,
iPad.
and this goes to the training. There's never, I know that none of us, am I the only one? I have never gotten training. I don't think any, our newest council people got training.
Any questions? And I've had council people in my office, in my department, come in and ask questions. Of everything in the training. So there's also documents on our website for technology that explains all of this. So technology. So if you want, so one thing we can improve is the onboarding process. Okay, so in training for onboarding process, we can send an email with a bunch of links to our training site. But we do this with our staff as well. I can't always train every person individually, send them to the videos, the outline document, forward. If you don't get it, absolutely, call us in, we'll send somebody down, we'll show you how to use it.
Right now, when an employee is hired at the borough, are you doing an onboarding and training?
It's not asked, it's asked. Right? It's not asked.
Today,
It's not saying,
I'm asking.
I'm not getting told, listen,
Mhm.
you please train our staff. I said, come on. Now, I'm assuming like, come with us. So if one of my guys leave, I sit him down with the person leaving and I say, train him.
Let me see, do you do that for an incoming professional in the BOE side? Someone's hired by the BOE, teacher, professional, do you give them a training? Their training,
They're mentored.
but we're not.
Same, but I was never asked also. But you're
Okay.
saying I'm not providing something I was never asked to give.
That's a service I definitely want to have.
You're asking that. I don't think you said that.
Yes, fine.
Fine.
Um, I want to also talk about a designated person for our 140 employees plus all of us up here. We definitely don't have that. There's many times I can't get anybody on the phone and I'm not getting a response within 24 hours.
I can go back to, I guess, the help desk. You put in a help desk, we respond.
Is there a designated person for the borough right now for 140 employees?
You're
Help
all,
desk person.
including myself, designated to the borough. If I get a call from the borough, or I get an email, or if I get help desk, which it should always be. But I can't stress enough that importance of the help desk. If I go through the help desk and I see you put a help desk in, it shows you the date and time you put it in. My guys will reply to that in a note. That note will be responded back to whoever put in the help desk ticket. I can go back and look at it. So if I go in and say you put a help desk ticket in 2 days ago, I go in there and look, I said, well, what's going on? It's 2 days old. I go in there and see my guy who visited, there's a note in there, which means you were notified through email that my guys put a note in there. We stopped here, we tried to call you, contact you, whatever it is the notes are. That's the importance of the help desk. If you just send an email, you make a phone call, I can't track it.
So, for example, our finance department, they have admins, and every time they have to do something in admins, they have to contact you. And sometimes they can't get coordination at the same time or as needed. But when they have all the 140 employees come off admins so that they can get an update or a code update or, whatever it is that they need a backup, that literally stops that department. There's a lag time there that actually interferes with our finance department. Why can't we have a designated person
That's called admin support.
for the borough?
You guys have admin support directly with admins.
But again, when they do that, they still have to coordinate the update with your office, and there is a lag there.
Right, so you call your support and they can't help you because you don't know. Let's say you don't know what they're trying to tell you to do. Then they'll coordinate with us and say, listen, you're having this problem. We give them remote access to your server because that program runs on our servers. So we give them remote access to our servers so that they can come in and look at that problem. And they work in tandem with my guys at that time to correct any issues.
And again, is that they have to put something in the help desk, wait 24 hours and then do it? Because that's a very big disruption in our
No,
finance.
It should be put in the help desk if it's an emergency, it's an email, call. Priority. I don't want to, everything's not a priority, but
All right, so,
Susan's hand is up.
okay, so, okay. Go ahead, Susan.
I'm not saying it's.
Well, I have a question. I'm gonna go on the cloud. It's really ended our server. That's not their fault, but it to be my part of penalty. Stop.
Okay, so like, I'm gonna finish your thought and I'm gonna interject here.
That's what's
yes, yeah, service-wise, we'll provide the internet access to get there. Again, we address that email to you. Same thing, so we talked about all the
I'm
Yes.
gonna-
But what does that cost you?
Okay, so hold on, time out a second. We're getting into too many granular issues about service level discussions here.
I want to reduce the amount of contract by how much that's.
Okay, but we're not going to resolve that here. We need to have an offline conversation because we're talking, you're asking for service 24 hours a day and you want the cost reduced. Those two are diametrically opposed. So it's an offline discussion. I want to see if other council members have questions for Bob. Dan, Jeff,
I've been here the longest.
what?
I've been here the longest on the council, the longest outside of you. I've had no issues with my email server, you know, I'm great.
So, Councilwoman.
I would just say that Councilwoman Dayton is correct in her assessment of the onboarding, which I guess you also recognize as an issue. I think it might have been summertime, Omar, or something, but what had happened was I think that some of the employees that work with the schools weren't around. Perhaps someone wasn't, it felt like it was a time when someone was away. And I think that maybe if I could just sum up maybe some of Councilwoman Dayton's concerns would be that the area that perhaps we could grow on would be the customer service aspect from a council perspective, or I guess the borough at large. But I'd love to be able to contact someone and, you know, have it maybe a little more personalized, you know, but if you say there are these tickets to fill out, I mean, certainly I work for other organizations where I fill in tech tickets as well. But I've had some things addressed, but there was a gap when I came on. There's some stuff that I'm sure I am not as good at as I could be. But the customer service aspect, you know, who can we call, and to get those things addressed might be something that could be something you could to streamline perhaps.
Again, working on it. Like I said, it's always, my assumption is, well, who comes in, somebody sitting next to him was like, here, so we questions. It's all on our website, but it's basically, it needs to be more personalized. That's something that you're asking right now, which is fine. Again, to maintain our relationship.
Jeff, go ahead, please.
Three takeaways. See, I can do three as a number. Three takeaways. One, we do need to have an offline conversation about some of these things. That's number one. Number two, I don't think it falls on the Board of Ed, the points about the onboarding. I think that falls on the borough to arrange, coordinate. I didn't even know that there was a key to get access to my mail. I didn't even know I had a mailbox for the first year. People were bringing the mail in. People were bringing in the mail here. So I think generally that is a message for our borough administrators that when we have a new member of the council, as well as new members of the borough, that there are certain things that need to be coordinated. And it's a lot more than just the computers. The third thing, and I don't know if this is possible, because I have this on my laptop at school, which is helpful. Is there a way, because I know if I want to go into, I guess it's Incident IQ is the help desk thing. Is there a way to have that on our devices as an icon that we could just click instead of going to the Board of Ed, clicking down, resources, IT, it's 14 clicks to get there. Okay, so I think that would be one thing we'd need to know is how to have an icon or something on the
Yeah, I can help you.
homepage.
Shortcut.
Yeah, I can, but I mean, I think just generally that should be something.
All right.
And that's it. Those are my three. Yeah.
So you can have this problem, you open up.
Nice.
So you can say, oh, there's an error on the screen. Look, here's exactly what it looks like. Click. It's just-
All right, Bob.
Those are my three. Thank you,
Jeff.
for being here.
Okay, I think you should have I would ask that you have a conversation with Borough Administrator Jimmy. And let's start compiling the different asks and concerns of the council members and chip away at it and figure out what's what.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, absolutely. Again, one of the other things you're gonna get, we pay for Google Enterprise licensing. Everybody in the borough, on board them or whatever, it's getting Google Enterprise. So it's not just your free Google or whatever, it's the Enterprise. It's a paid license. Phone system. So we were here for the onboarding and moving off the phone system to the new system. We also can troubleshoot and repair your phone system, even though you have your own contract with ShoreTel. Normally, again, ShoreTel's coming to us. Bob, they're having this issue. Just here today. Got Oprah with us today too, but we were just here today. Andrew was here. We're working on the phone at the main desk. We're having problems with that. We're working conjunction with them. Get that resolved. Also, things again, you don't know, just trying to get things. Your phone system also failed over to our phone lines. If your phone system goes down, you're grabbing phone lines from our PRI interface. So we have a lot of redundancy built in, backed up between us. Again, talk about being there for each other or shared services. I get a phone call and it's like, oh, this machine's dead. It's an older machine. We got to order a new one. Okay? No problem. Guess what? I'm going to give you a spare machine to use in the meantime. Take one of ours. I think right now we have 5 computers in the district. We loan these. Monitors go out. No problem. Take them. Order them when they come in. So.
We use your contract for buying machines, right? When we buy new desktops, it's off your
But I do is I can't, certain things for the education, I cannot. But some things I can have. So,
It does not happen.
no, yeah, no. Money-wise, yes. If I buy, we're talking access points.
Right.
If I buy 2,000 laptops, you guys need a laptop, guess what? You're getting the pricing.
Right.
I'll take that pricing, I'll hand it off to your rep. Say, give them this pricing on this laptop. And then the laptop is actually compatible with us, we have imaging software, we can get image, maintain it, and we know it works. So yes, the buying power.
Yes, buying power.
Is allowed. The domain name, Tenafly.net. It's managed and owned under us. You know that because our service, the POs, I pay on my credit card. So, the Tenafly.net is under us. We pay the fee, we network solutions, and we.
All right. Lauren, we're going to have one last question, then this is going to go back to Jimmy and Bob to work through. Go ahead, please.
We actually pay Civic Plus to host our domain name, tenaflynewjersey.org. We pay for that service with Civic Plus. Just telling everyone.
Well, that's a website. We're talking about something
No.
completely different. Yeah, right, right.
I'm not saying, I'm not saying.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to,
But I'm making the board aware of.
Right. all right. So what I'd like you to do at this point, okay, is for you and Jimmy to have an offline conversation because we're getting into too many granular issues here that none of what you're going to get resolved tonight.
So let me just get a couple of things real quick.
Real quick, you got 60 seconds.
Look, I've seen this on the movies all the time, so I can see it. All right, so, project that we've worked on together, moving the DPW building. The wireless, the MDF here at the Borough Hall. Just cost, not nothing of us to come in and do it, nights, weekends, whatever we need to do. The fiber you're borrowing us from the Emergency Communication Service, we're lending it to you, no cost, no big deal, no problem. We also pay for priority service on the wireless in case, the fiber case goes down, your data network upgrades, your phone upgrades, migration. Davis Johnson Park, when we did the wireless upgrade there, we gave you our equipment again in the beginning to borrow for as long as you wanted it until you actually got in and did that. And again, the purchasing power of when we're buying stuff, we extend that to you. You got any money off it?
Mhm.
Recorded.
You are being recorded.
This is basically just being good neighbors. We don't make it. This is just.
Okay. Thank you for being here tonight. We appreciate it, all your work. So please, you and Jimmy have to get together, right? You've heard and Susan, of course. All right. And we'll go from there. Jimmy, you'll report back with Bob.
Yep, absolutely.
Thank you, Bob. Appreciate it.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Chief
it.
Department. I would like the CFO and Jimmy to give us a comparison on an outside company.
Right. So they have to talk about all the details to determine what those outside comparisons would be.
And what comes out of the contract financially. We have
Okay.
outside services for things.
All right. Next item on the agenda, outdoor seating rules and regulations. For the Boy Scouts? I mean, for the students. I'm so used to the Boy Scouts. So we do that now, you think?
What are we doing?
So I just going to ask a quick question. The students that are here, were you going to make a presentation at all to the council during public comment time? You are. Okay. So, so I'd like to ask for a motion from the council to move the public comment to now.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so gentlemen, you can, we're moving the public comment up now because it's already 8:15. And just looking at the time frame, we won't get to it for another hour probably. So we don't want to delay you and anyone else who would like to make public comments. So if you'd like to make presentations, the students will go first, and then we'll take comments from the general public.
Fascinating. Early kids go home.
Okay, so what you're going to do is step up to the microphone. You have to announce your name and your address, and then go ahead and tell us what's on your mind. Go ahead, speak right up to the microphone.
My name is Eugene Lee, and I
Your
live on
address?
1 Park Street.
Okay, go ahead.
Members of the Tenafly Town Council, good evening, everyone. My name's Troy Canos, 49 Woodmere Lane. When I think of a good town, I think not only the safety of the residents, but also making a town fun and entertaining, especially for children like me. Sure, there are many places we have currently in town that we enjoy going to with our friends, such as basketball courts, youth center, soccer field, and downtown. Although this is enough to make a Friday afternoon exciting, things can get rather boring and repetitive. I've come to this meeting to propose that the town purchase the theater to allow residents use of the wonderful facility to improve the quality of the town. It's a perfect location not only to spend time with your friends after school on the holidays, but it's also perfect for family gathering. It's a fun and new place that can be enjoyed by any age.
My name is Daniel Carrillo, and my address is 1 Mission Way. So continuing to what he said, since new movies come out every week, it won't get repetitive or boring. In addition to all of the above, it's also a walking distance from our schools and our homes. Would you rather go to downtown and watch at the cinema located there, or take a car ride to Bergen Field just to watch a movie? Also, due to being a whole new activity in town, I believe that the movie theater will make the town a lot of money. People will be very interested and excited when a new movie theater opening up in the center of town. Now, using these funds, we can make our Tenafly better for everyone. In conclusion, I believe that reopening the movie theater will improve the town as a whole. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, any other students who would like to speak? Thank you, gentlemen. You know, but by the way, before you start, I just want to say in terms of your discussion about the movie theater, it's actually on the agenda for discussion later on this evening. If you choose to stay, I don't know if you've seen a copy of the agenda, but your comments are very timely. So thank you very much for those. Okay, sir, go ahead. Your name and your address, please.
Aiden Coe.
Go ahead.
Hello, hello, Mayor Zena and council members. I'm Aiden Coe, and this is we're both 8th grade students at Tenafly Middle School, and we're here to speak to you about the state of Tenafly Brook.
About the state of what? Tenafly Brook.
Shuk, I live at the plaza at Tenafly. Many of you know Tenafly Brook is a staple of Tenafly, running through most of our town. As students, you see it everywhere, from when we enter school and leave school, or go to town or go to a friend's house. Unfortunately, every time we see it, it's on an encounter marked with only shame. First of all, pollution is quite common in the brook. Some of our encounters are a shopping cart, various objects like basketballs, and a lot of garbage. Of course, most of this has to do with the people dumping things into the brook, but that doesn't explain why it can never be cleaned up. Not only this, but the natural state of the brook isn't very nice either. When you picture a lovely stream, you would likely imagine a clear, bubbling creek flowing through mossy rocks with trees and flowers growing hushly on the gently sloping banks. However, Tenafly Brook can almost be called the opposite of just that. With lots of bushes missing their leaves, leaving behind only bunches of branches, trees growing for all warped from the jagged and irregular terrain, and the dead trees lying inside of the brook, no wonder many people would call it a sore sight. How do we suggest we clean it up? Firstly, events like the upcoming Trash-a-thon from the Tenafly Nature Center could be an excellent way to clean up the garbage inside the brook and raise awareness about trying to keep the water clean. Organizing volunteer work is a great way to have people give back to the community. We also believe the signs posted around the brook needs to be more apparent. They're currently minor bronze signs that are decorative, but unfortunately not enough. A sign that pops out more or gives a more vital message than Tenafly Brook keep clean would help. As for the natural aspect of the brook, everyone in the town can pitch in. Although clearing things like dead trees may be challenging, fixing the riverbanks and warped trees is impossible, planting flowers is. Overall, our plan to clean up and beautify all relies on the community. As long as we have lots of awareness and volunteers, we can make it happen without spending a single dime. I hope you can all take the speech to heart. Thank you.
Okay, so stay here for a second. So thank you very much, because that's actually another you guys are very aware of things that are going around. this past January, you know, the section of the brook, when you go from the middle school to the high school along that sidewalk in the little woods there. That whole thing was a nightmare. When was that, January? We cleaned that up, that one little section because of the way the trees and the bushes and post-hurricane stuff. It was a real mess. We cleaned it up. But you're 100% right. We need to get that on a regular cleaning schedule of taking the rubbish out of the stream, cutting back the bushes that catch the rubbish, all that sort of good stuff. So you guys, based on your speech, want to be involved in this process somehow? Okay. So how do we get, perhaps you can give your email addresses to Omar, the borough clerk right here, so that he can reach out to you and connect you with Jimmy Homsey, the borough administrator, and we can start talking about how that program could work. Okay? Pardon me? It's a great 8th grade project. 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade project too. Now, there's another gentleman student there. Were you going to make a presentation this evening? You're just, okay. All right, Omar, since we've moved public comment time, let's see, is there anyone out in, yes, you'd like to speak? Yes, it is. It actually is in the next 2 items to be considered. You want to wait for that? Okay. Right. Yes, probably will. So we both do it. Okay, Omar, and what happens is we do the virtual public comment first, then do it for people who are present in that order. So we're just going to keep to that process, then you'll go. Go ahead, Omar. Anyone out there who wants to speak?
I see no hands, Mayor.
No hands?
No
Okay.
hands. No, that's a icon that looks like for a mute icon.
Okay. Okay, so thank you, Omar. So anyone here in the chambers who would like to make a public comment? And you want to come up and speak, please? If you could just be so kind as to give us your name and address for the record.
I've been talking to the mayor about this since my husband died of COVID.
Come closer to the
Years
mic.
ago, my husband
Yeah.
died of COVID in April. It's 2 years now, and I know about 25 people died. So you said tonight we would be discussing some kind of a memorial service or a plaque or something to commemorate and recognize these people, so.
No, thank you for, I mean, it's your idea and we all agree with you. So tonight it's on the agenda to be considered. It's actually, and there's 2 more items to go.
Okay.
And the council's going to have an open conversation. We're not going to we don't have, plaques here tonight. We're going to have a conversation about what we want to do
Sure.
and how we're going to plan it out. So
If there's a committee or something, I'd like to be on.
exactly. Okay, fine. So please, I hope you can please stay for the conversation. Okay, thank you, Susan. Okay, Omar, are there any other members of the public here or on the outside who would like to make a public comment?
It's Christine Never. I'd like to speak.
Let me guess, you live at 39 Leroy Street?
You know,
Member Karnak?
exactly. A couple things on the outdoor dining rules and regulations. I presume we're going back to a form that we've used in the past for sidewalk seating. I believe that's where you're going because I haven't heard the discussion. But if possible, we used to have architectural plans required for outdoor seating. Could that please be eliminated and simplified? We pass out to every single, as Chamber of Commerce President, I pass out to every single restaurant interested in outdoor seating, the application to have outdoor sidewalk seating before COVID. If we could simplify that form and not require architectural drawing, it would be wonderful. That was on architectural or outdoor seating. Amend the mobile food truck application. Again, this is not online for anybody to look at. I would hope that you would include in the application form a requirement for the lease from the person renting space to a mobile truck, such as the Clinton Inn, that a mobile truck get their power from the landlord, not idle their truck all day, and that the landlord be made responsible for disposing of the trash so that the truck owner is not tempted to use either business dumpsters after hours or municipal means of disposing of their trash. We
Anything else there?
kind of stuff today. Are you going over the various things for revitalizing the downtown today?
Tonight, that's not on the agenda, no. Okay, thank you very much. Any other members of the public who would like to make a public comment? No, no, okay, Omar? So we're going to close this portion of public comment. There'll be more public comment opportunities further in the meeting. Okay, the next item on the agenda is outdoor seating rules and regulations.
Yeah, so I don't know if Wendy, we're gonna come back to the council after seeking more the guidelines through the state and what's expiring at the end of through November to come to the council with appropriate recommendations at the next council meeting regarding outdoor seating rules and regulations.
Because there have been some changes at the state you want to.
Yeah, just to make the council aware, I'm not sure if everyone is aware, but legislation was passed late fall, early winter of 21 that extended the COVID outdoor dining abilities through till November 30th of 2022. So just to keep everyone in mind that that is still out there, we can still operate under that. And in the meantime, together with Mr. Homsey, we're looking at how to incorporate and perhaps revise the outdoor seating permit process for the future. Just to let you know, the way that your ordinance currently is written, it not only covers sidewalks, but also public right-of-ways, which is inclusive of road or parking lot, parking spots, et cetera.
So are we talking about this application tonight, or it's coming back for a second discussion? Okay, council members have questions. Well, Councilman Michaels was first.
If I could just implore Wendy and Jimmy, just, Christine said, less is more. So, I would love to challenge us on page as to what the requirements. I had a chance to look at some of the material and, describe the food you're going to serve. It's likely a pizza place will serve pizza inside and outside. But, to Christine's point, some proposed layouts and drawings. I would just implore us to try to make it as easy as possible for these businesses. I'm very passionate about, let's make sure you have the insurance you need. Let's make sure that, something that's dangerous. Other than that, if we could just keep it to as little as possible, that'd be great.
Well, with the COVID emergency order, which was then put into statute, some of those processes did get easier. So I think.
It's great. Last year was wonderful. I think the businesses, we checked it out. If it was health related, Ruby would come. If it was safety related, Amanda at the time would come. It was wonderful. I think how we did last time. I just don't want to overburden the business.
There were written requirements as well that were set forth. And some of that is also because of the ability to serve alcohol in expanded areas, which otherwise is going to go away. And we can't extend that. That's something.
But that's saying till November, which is awesome. I would love it if this council and Grossman agrees. I think that's, if we can convince the diner to do stuff with our concert series, street fair. I think it's wonderful that let's take advantage of it.
Not everywhere. It's still going to have to be adjacent to their property.
Agreed. And we were close to it before. I think people shut us down again. We worked with Steve at the diner, and he had that area.
Right, but he can't serve over in Highland.
People have to come over to there. Absolutely.
Councilwoman, please.
Delivery.
And you,
That would
I said, I don't know if New Jersey could do it. If you deliver
Right.
to
Delivered to
Highland Park.
Go ahead, Lauren.
One of the reactions that we had for the sidewalk seating was that many of our seniors and our Access for All committee could not get around. The sidewalks are tight in some places, and I think we need to be aware that if the sidewalks are narrower, that we do not do sidewalk seating, we do street. We have to really be careful. The seniors, differently abled seniors and differently able members of our community were a little dissatisfied with the placement of tables. They really had trouble going around and shopping, getting what they needed.
Well, sorry, go ahead, Councilman.
No, I just had a question. How did they manage it in prior years when there was no seating out on the parking spots?
Well,
Were
we
there no
didn't have-
complaints? No, because people did have, there was sidewalk seating. You could get a permit to.
If I may, your permit procedure required a certain width of access through before they could be approved for it, so that's likely what the difference was.
The applicant would then provide a submission, they would provide a drawing of the number of seats and tables that will be in their location.
I think it's at 5 feet, right? Or something like that.
So,
Yeah.
to your question.
Yes, it's fine.
I think prior to COVID, some of the dynamics of how many tables people actually had out there, and I'm gonna go from, I think Rosary, for instance, might have had 2 tables, one right up against the building on each side of the door.
Right.
So the logistics were different, then there were more table, and I'm not picking on anyone, I'm just saying the behavior became a little bit different to get more tables out there, which is probably why we didn't get any planes pre-COVID.
Right, and that's kind of what I was getting at is, that maybe if we eventually move back to the way we had sidewalk seating in the past, we wouldn't have those complaints.
Well, I will say many residents are really enjoying the pavilion type of dining. I think that we've moved sort of a step forward with that, and our residents really come out and support our businesses. So we want that. And I know I'm looking forward to spring pavilion dining in our downtown.
It's a learning process.
Yes, but we're trying to be considerate of all, so it has to be a balance.
Okay, Jeff, did you have a question? Okay. All right, so if there's no other questions from council members on this topic, so you're going to come back to us, to the council with recommendations?
Correct.
Okay. All right, thank you.
But I do want to, I think we did this at the last meeting. We discussed, similar to last year, street level, parking level. So the businesses have asked, so yes, I think what we said at the last meeting was we don't want this to slow down where we are now.
It won't slow anything down. This is just a look forward.
Yeah.
So right now, there is a process in place. They can continue with it. That can stay until November 30th, but moving forward, we're trying to streamline it and make sure that what we've learned and what we've expanded on can get incorporated into the ordinance.
Absolutely.
Councilman Menon?
Yeah, I think what we said in the last meeting was that we would ask, and they would have to submit actual applications for requesting that space, right?
Yeah, my understanding is that has happened throughout the last 2 years anyway.
Councilwoman, yes.
So I'd actually like, since we're talking about outdoor seating, to throw out, close the streets on Sundays for Washington and Railroad and the T for a pedestrian walkway. Many of our residents and our BFJ planner have discussed this concept of a pedestrian pavilion where there's no cars, maybe in just those 2 areas. So maybe we can close one lane of Railroad and let the cars go through, or let the cars go through on Piermont or County, and see if we can try this for some of the Sundays or summer Sundays.
So I would suggest, if some of the council members would like to do that, put some sort of simplified plan together, and then let's add it to be considered at the next council meeting for a full discussion. This way, everyone has a concept of what you're thinking about and how it would work.
So the planner actually, I think, presented this to us as well. I wonder, Adam, I can't remember, did they put something together?
Yeah, they didn't show.
There's nothing writing, no detail. Okay. I didn't mean to not ask you too. I'm just looking at that.
So Omar, let's put that on the agenda for the next meeting to be considered. We have a full discussion about it.
You guys want to follow back up with BFJ and just see if,
Oh, I wouldn't follow up with them. I would be more interested in following up with businesses that do takeout,
You have to have some conversations with the businesses
especially
to get a
ones that
sense
do
of how
takeout.
everyone feels.
pick up right now.
Okay. I think we're good with outdoor seating, correct? All right, let's move on to the memorial for residents, the Tenafly residents lost to COVID. So we lost 28 of our residents to COVID, and those are reported numbers, official reported numbers from the county. That doesn't include any individuals that were in nursing homes or other congregate care facilities. That's a whole separate reporting system, just so everyone's clear on that. It doesn't include that. So, 28 is a big number. And I think, and when we have one of our residents here, Susan is here, she lost her husband to COVID. And she's been on top of me in terms of getting a memorial together. And, a lot of it is timing, but I think it's time as we're emerging from this and we have kind of some foresight behind this, we think about doing something. Susan, do you want to come up? I don't mean to put you on the spot. Do you want to come up and say something or talk about what ideas you might have for a memorial? Okay, that's fine. Okay. Go ahead, Jeff, then Lauren.
Yeah, whatever we do, I just want to make sure that we had 2 borough employees.
That's correct.
So I
correct.
whatever we do, I
Yep.
want to keep that in mind.
Of course. Lauren, please.
So what I would like to do is make sure that these residents are recognized in a permanent way. I think that as a community, we can come together and appreciate, just the pandemic really has changed our lives. And so I think these people, unfortunately, they gave their life in this pandemic. And I would like to see a permanent plaque of some sort with names in some way. I'm not sure if you guys, how the rest of you feel about this, but I would, and maybe it becomes part of Peace Plaza where we have the names of those who have lost their lives already. That seems to be a place where we have peaceful vigils and coming together of community. So maybe something there. I would like to also have something, especially as we're 2 years now, and I'm sorry for your loss. I really am. I would like to have some sort of planting where we can, have maybe designated trees or benches or something in which they will continue to grow in our community, sort of symbolic, of those lives. I'm not sure if you had anything specific you would like to do, but we're happy to hear, anything you'd like and any way you want to recognize your husband.
You want to come up to the microphone, please?
People that died in the
6, yeah.
to see it right there. So certainly something, but this is even bigger. So many people and so many people were impacted. I was thinking of maybe some kind of, like a stone or something where you could, maybe not right here in the Peace Plaza, maybe in, park.
Davis Johnson, Jeff suggested.
It could be Davis Johnson or
So one of the,
Well, Resco Park would be,
things we might want to,
what's the other one where
Sergeant
building for years?
Sergeant Oresco,
No,
the Roosevelt Monument?
yeah,
Okay,
something
right.
there. But I was thinking of maybe, like a stone, as if we're burying these people all together. So some kind of a stone where their names could be on the stone. And I think a planting would be great too, some kind of a bench or, I know when I go to cemeteries, I always like to see a bench at a cemetery so I can sit and kind of contemplate. So it could be a place for people who have lost their loved one to actually go and contemplate there and, sit there because they can't, always go to the cemetery or something. So I like your idea, maybe a bench, maybe a tree, and the names of everybody who died, because it's quite a lot of people. And I didn't know the number until you just said it, 28, but I know my husband loved Tenafly. It would be nice for his children to come and everything to see them.
Councilman Menon, and then Julie, please.
And maybe some kind of a service when we first unveil it.
Oh, of course. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
And thank you for coming up and, condolences to you as well. I have a question for our CFO, whether something like this would fit in with with funding from the American Rescue Plan? Would this be something that we could use the funds for?
Step up to the mic, yeah.
There's public safety and other types of things, but this is not a request that I've seen yet. So I'd have to like read up on to determine.
Councilwoman Dr. O'Connor.
Hi, I just want to say I'm sorry for your loss, of course, first, and thank you for coming tonight and keeping your husband's memory alive. We're very grateful for that. So in my tradition, the idea of planting a tree is, I'm Jewish, and so we plant trees in memory of people who've passed on because, you know, the idea of giving new life and it's a lovely connection. And so I also envision what we've heard tonight, which is, you know, like some sort of stone and where you're burying something that's surrounded by some trees, you know, so if there are locations perhaps near one of the monuments, like maybe in the area by Roosevelt Monument that we've been talking about with the other project, returning that to green, that could be something. So maybe we just need the location. You said Oresco would be a little more complicated.
Also, I was just thinking Davis Park because people just really use that one side. We have concerts and everything in the summer. No one ever seems to go to the other side. You know where those lions are? No one ever goes there.
Oh,
So
yeah.
that could be a spot for it. That would
Davis
work.
Johnson Park with it.
Yeah, but on that other side where it's not really used.
There is space there.
So perhaps if maybe we can get two council members who would like to be on a committee for this, and we ask if Susan would like to be a part of it too, and maybe one other family member to start generating some ideas.
So I will say Jeff and I are supposed to be, it's been like 2 years, we really need to get this done. Coming up with the spot for Bill McClure for the memorial, deciding on naming for him. You know, if Jeff, are we, do you want to do this committee? You want to give it to others to do this committee? Okay, so we'll do the Bill McClure naming because, and our other borough employee, and then if two other people want to do this committee, I mean.
Larry Gugano.
Yeah.
Larry.
Yes, Larry.
So what other council members would like to be part of this? Julie?
It sounds already like it's coming together. I certainly don't mind.
Okay, good. Who else? Who
Yeah.
else wants to?
I'm fine.
Vanu? So Vanu and Julie? Okay.
I don't really know anyone else who wants to look.
So we have access to that information, so we can, you know, we would reach out privately to those families to see if they would like to, you know, kind of be involved at some level. And we'll see how that conversation goes. I have your email and contact address. So, you know, I'll get in touch with you, or Omar or Borough Clerk will get in touch with you, connect you with the council members, and then we'll start off on that, okay? Maybe it's, this is early April, maybe in early May, we can have a preliminary report to the council about kind of what's gelling, okay? All right. And thank you for coming here tonight. So, okay, the next item on the agenda is the senior center and library buildings.
To be fair, I think there's something that it's budget. It's done.
I mean,
Between those meetings.
Like 3 days.
Who was supposed to have the library meeting to see if they will provide funding?
Right. Okay, so let's,
Did that ever happen?
no, it did not. So let's put this,
That has to be next one.
correct.
But again, we also need an answer before budget season ends. there.
Mayor, if I may,
Go ahead.
there was some exchange of communications, emails between a member of the library board,
Good.
CFO, and myself, asking for preliminary information proposals and just general financials regarding the project currently that's ongoing. So we did respond as today to their request for some documentation.
So again, they really need to understand, they want to do an interior project this year, but they need to do the whole outside. Can't stress it enough.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they need to have a solid roof.
Mhm.
Councilman, go ahead.
And I know Jeff and I were speaking about this, so I don't know about Jeff, I was just thinking about it as well. What kind of information are we looking for to make an informed decision? Sorry, at least an informed discussion. about a decision. What do we think? I would think we need some understanding of rough costs or how big.
Scope of project.
Scope of the project. Like what, I think that one idea is, could you make don't use the word, municipal center in that library area to allow multiple stories that could perform multiple roles, right? I think so that's one. I think there's another piece around getting, and I don't know who these people, not scientists, but how would the library committee feel about the school multi-story piece? What would the senior center feel about it? Is there a third or fourth cohort of people that might be in that multi-purpose?
Sure, the teen center, because if we're redoing the building, it's teen center. The all-purpose McCandless room, which is under us/rec.
Right, it would be everything or nothing. Right. It wouldn't make sense to do it partially.
So I'm happy to take it offline and work with Jimmy. How do we get feedback from those half dozen cohorts, along with?
I mean, honestly, nothing, but Jimmy, I think can handle that. We don't need us to get the feedback.
Okay, so.
He knows what we're talking about.
Okay, so I think it's a matter of getting feedback from these cohorts of folks, getting just a rough understanding of, is it feasible to build an X-story, zoning, I assume is 3 stories, I'm making that up. Finding out, is it feasible to build something like that? And I do think the third thing is, are there other places, again, feasible for that? So again, I would task the mayor with reaching out to that property and see. If they say it's not possible, that helps our discussion. So I think if we did those 3 things, I think that would be a good start, to bring that information to this.
Well,
So we can start this.
the fourth thing, just to throw out the number,
I hope
is
2.5, 3.5, 3B.
is we need to keep in mind what the ongoing costs of maintaining that building as it is. Is this, I think the question becomes, is this an inevitability? Is this something we can put off for 10 years until it totally falls apart? Any of this, yeah, all of this.
We talked a little bit about the library youth center complex, what's going on with the floors, some walls. It's time to have the serious discussion.
Right, that's
'cause-
exactly
right.
it. And look, if it's gonna cost us 2 million over the next 10 years, then I'd rather bond 2 million and have something that's not bandaged.
Does that make sense, Jimmy? Is that something we could do? Time frame, is that months worth of work? When would you recommend coming back to the council?
We need it in the budget, so he has to.
No,
It's going into the
yeah,
budget.
it's not going in the budget this year. There's too much,
This is a long-term conversation.
yeah,
Training in a library, so.
right, right, we're dealing with those particular operational issues, but this is a bigger project that's gonna take a fair amount of time to make the right decision about and get all the players involved.
What it might do is help the library
Yeah.
figure out whether we're doing a little tiny bandage
Right.
this year or whether we're doing a full wrap.
Right, because reality is they're talking about, as Councilwoman Dayton brought up before, making a significant investment on the interior of the library. When you start putting all this money together, and to everyone's point, we're not going to throw good money after bad. You want to put good money on something good.
Well,
Okay, so Yes, go ahead,
You know,
Council.
the other thing about putting money into the interior is if you design a new building appropriately, maybe that will factor into the interior.
100%.
you want.
100%. So Jimmy, you'll get back. Well,
Absolutely.
it's time for conversations with the affected parties, timetables, so the council starts getting some sense of direction. Yeah, what do you think, Jimmy?
I'll see,
Beginning of
I mean,
May. Yeah.
we have to do the IT agreement with ends at end of June. We have contract negotiations with the
All right,
downtown
so
project.
let's put it, this is April 5th.
Mhm.
So let's say we report April, May, June, or the first meeting in June, we report back on this topic. Fair enough?
Yep.
Right. Yep. All right. Next item on the agenda is the amendment of the mobile food truck application.
And
Thank you. Have a good night.
Hey, guys.
Thank you for coming.
Hope you get an A.
given our public comment, I wasn't sure if the issues that she brought up were addressed, this issue of the garbage and all the things she mentioned should be in that.
She being Christine
Oh,
Ebron.
Christine, yeah.
Public comments.
So the mobile food vendors are charged with removing their garbage and making sure that garbage isn't left behind. So it's idling is not, no, it's not mentioned at all. Generally, those trucks operate on their own
Run generator.
generators, which requires the idling. It's just a function of a food truck.
Like they turn it on with the food truck. That's how they get their internal stove and ovens to work. And their generator runs a small generator for the day. It's not, I mean, it is idling, but it's with that one power source.
Not to speak for Christine, because she's here, but my understanding of the point was not having the food truck necessarily responsible for cleaning, but having the property owner, because the food truck's going to dump it wherever they want. The property owner will keep it on
That
site. I
is
think
the
that
one
was,
that's received. The-
okay. Right, I know what's currently done. I think that's what the suggested
I
change.
was under the impression I was asked what was currently.
I think,
Sorry.
I,
So if the food truck hooks up to the power bill, they're still idling. They're still idling because they have to run their truck all day to get the internal stuff. Is that right?
I don't pretend to know whether they have the ability to bypass to put their generator onto a different system or whether it has to run through their own engine. I'm not an expert.
so
To cook, I think it still has to be on throughout the day. I don't think it saved us
Just get power
environmentally.
to the truck.
Right, so the food trucks,
Okay.
food trucks need electricity and gas for the grills, electricity for the lights, refrigeration, all that sort of good stuff. That's why the generators run.
I think Christine was talking about having something where the property owner would provide the electricity or the power.
That could be done too.
We have a food truck on our streets. For example, the ice cream truck comes. That's a food truck at our schools and at our, downtown in Highland.
That's a different definition. That's a.
Okay, but I'm just saying there's
different
other
system.
trucks. I don't want to be, the municipality doesn't want to be paying for the power.
Well, maybe it should just be for private, if there's private.
That wasn't really what we were bringing this forth for discussion tonight, but just to address that, it's not necessarily always possible. For example, I know at times the nature center brings up food trucks. They wouldn't necessarily be parked close enough to any power source to be able to do so. So to require in an ordinance may limit the ability of other private owners to be able to bring those food trucks onto their property if they don't have a source of power. But back to what the purpose of the discussion was for tonight, it has come to the attention of the borough that there's certain trucks that aren't necessarily cooking. That, for example, there's a beverage vendor that comes through, and the reason for bringing this on to the agenda tonight was to get feedback from the council on an idea of doing a carve out similar to an ice cream peddler, how they're classified differently as a mobile food vendor, do a carve out for beverage vendors who are only selling, for example, breakfast prepackaged food items, pastries, I believe is what the request was for, and allowing that on borough streets right of way outside of the downtown, which would be defined by certain blocks outside of it for limited periods, say, 7 to 11 a.m. Something
Breakfast
to that
time.
effect, because they do sell coffee beverages.
Also, just to add, there's another specific example of the usage is that the Nature Center would like to take advantage of this because they use it as a fundraising tool. We've just discovered in the past couple of weeks where the vendor splits their proceeds at some degree with the Nature Center. And they wanted to do the same thing with, I think it was the baseball team or one of the sports teams. One of the youth sports teams as fundraising for those groups. But go ahead. Were you done with your comments or Councilwoman Dayton's ready for questions?
Just presenting the ideas for feedback.
Go ahead.
So, if they need to keep their beverages hot, that's still okay. Right, because ice cream trucks need to keep everything cold, they still have refrigeration and heat.
Right, the
Okay.
point is they're not actually cooking.
Right,
They're
they're serving ready-made, pre-made stuff that they're bringing.
But much like the ice cream truck.
Right.
Right, exactly.
And our ice cream trucks are at my school every day, after school.
Because they've got to carve out in the rules.
This is not big.
They don't? Okay. So next question. Go ahead, Councilman Park.
Oh, what's the difference between that truck and let's say the truck that goes to a hot lunches or construction sites, for example? Is that the same concept?
They're cooking,
So
aren't they
it's
cooking?
still
No.
allowed
Pre-
because
Like a
those
golf
are
cart.
Pre-packed, they would require a longer day. Those are the types of trucks that we provided for the, I believe, the breakfast and lunch crowd on private commercial properties. They already have their ability to operate the way they were.
So the
And they're not on public right of way in the downtown either.
Gotcha.
So
Go ahead.
my concern with the carve out is what my concern is with all the food trucks is that we have, tax paying restaurants and businesses that they themselves make money selling coffee and breakfast. And the same reasons why we made these, we codified where these people could go. It still stands in my mind. Unless I'm missing something, and I do appreciate that sometimes they split their profit with different charities, but we have plenty of businesses that sell coffee and breakfast items in our downtown and by the right of way, and they're paying handsomely for it. So that's my concern.
So Wendy alluded to this issue is that the entire downtown, I mean, literally the entire downtown is off limits, specifically to address your concern. In other words, we can't have any of this north of Clinton, east of Tenafly Road, west of Engle Street, and what is it on the north side? It would be Chestnut. Okay, so that includes the entire, and if we missed a street, because up by Valley Bank and Highwood, there's like a little kind of hook up there, and it's not exactly a square section, but it would be laid out for discussion, so that entire downtown area is excluded.
Discussion still exclude that whole area.
Completely. Right. Completely.
Similar to the ice cream truck where they have to drive through neighborhoods.
Right.
So they would have to drive through neighborhoods, somebody would have to want a coffee or whatever there's pre-made, whatever it is.
So the point of this discussion is, to sum it up is we'd like to come back with the council at the next meeting and deliver to the council kind of a draft idea of what the ordinance would look like. And we put it on the to be considered. And then we'd discuss it through and see what happens.
I have a technical question.
Sure.
Both the ice cream truck and the pre-packaged trucks, they're parking on our school property, but we can't have an ordinance discussing school property, right?
So do you mean like parking on Sunset near the middle school, or do you mean like parking within their parking lot?
I've seen an ice cream truck in our parking lot in elementary school, but typically they're just sitting right in front of the front door.
Well, so when you're on the public roadway, that's for a right of way. Whether you're in their parking lot, and the middle school may be the bad example because the road that ends into their parking lot, but let's say on Jefferson, you know, that's public right of way, that's covered by our ordinances.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the kids like the ice cream. And the parents, we all buy ice cream for the kids all the time. So, you know, the closer to where we are, the truck parking, the easier it is to invest the money in the ice cream. All right, so we'll come back to the council with a draft or an edited ordinance to the ice cream truck ordinance to see what everybody thinks. We'll do that for the next meeting. All right, thank you. Okay, next item on the agenda is the second generation anticoagulant rodenticides. I actually pronounced that correctly, right?
Julie, by the way, this was such quick work. Thank you for this.
Councilwoman Dr. O'Connor.
So as Councilwoman Dayton probably recognizes that Deborah Davidson, the director of the Tenafly Nature Center, alerted me to this. So everything that's old is new again. Many decades ago, there was something called DDT, a little bit of a history lesson for anyone out there. So this pesticide was found to kill birds. At that point, it was bald eagles and they found out through the egg shells were very thin, so the baby eggs, the eggs weren't hatching because it would get in the bloodstream of the bald eagles, and then they pass on to the next generation this in that case, DDT, this pesticide. Well, it's happening again, this time with rodenticide. And basically those black boxes you might see by the little dumpsters in the back of places. They're the bait stations for rat poisons. And what's happening there is that the animals, they don't die outright, but what happens is that they get an accumulation in their system that called bioaccumulate this poison, just like what would happen with DDT. And over the days, the animal gets slower. And now the predators will catch the slower animal. And they've been noticing, there was a University of Georgia study that found in about 130 roughly different eagles, 82% of them they found had rat poison in the eagles. So these are called the SGARs, the second generation anticoagulant rodenticide. We're looking to ban them, and just Bergen County Audubon has been campaigning. They're coming to the commissioners so that we can do this on a county level. And I think Deborah is part of the Bike Nature Association. And so we have obviously this, wonderful nature center, and it impacts every animal. And so we're looking to ban those. And while we're talking about other places that are starting those bans in a moment, I did just want to say that with every ban, we always look to alternatives. And one of the things that, fortunately, that Deborah was able to supply is that there's alternatives that can be used. And obviously, one of the other pieces of this is securing trash, not leaving open bins, because that is a very big thing. So in Allendale, for example, they're cracking down on all their open dumpsters in town. And so just to let people know that Connecticut just introduced legislation, Massachusetts did, California placed a 10-year moratorium on the use of these. So this is a national thing. So it's coming up again like we had in DDT. So I would like to hope that the council might consider us also introducing a ban. And just one more thing, the Raptor Trust, which is an organization, if you ever found a an injured bird, she's shaking her head because that is like the one area, the one place you take if you find an injured bird in New Jersey, you go to the Raptor Trust. They wrote a letter in support of this. They're having lots and lots of, birds coming in that they could tell have been actually, poisoned by rat poison. So I was hoping for the council's support. Like I say, it comes from Tenafly Nature Center. Director would like this support if we could do a resolution banning it in our town as well.
Questions? Go ahead, Lauren, please.
First of all, I want to thank Julie for, as I said, the very quick work. The Nature Center board was just discussing this, and then of course it's right on, so thank you so much. Essentially, what's happening within our borough, it's very interesting. Parking lot O has numerous open dumpsters and debris from our downtown. One of the reasons why I want to renovate parking lot O is garbage consolidation with a brick structure. That's part of the proposal. And what that does is it eliminates rats. We actually have a contract to eliminate the rats in town using these pesticides that Julie is discussing. And so currently we are leaving, as Julie said, the black boxes and pesticides in and around our business dumpsters in parking lot O and some other areas where there's consolidation of trash, like some other shopping plazas. What's happening then, as Julie said, is our birds of prey, our hawks, our eagles are eating our rats and small rodents and squirrels, whoever's eating this pesticide, and going up to Nature Center and dying in the Nature Center. So Deborah Davidson is seeing an increase of deaths of our birds of prey. So it is directly linked to the contract we have with an outside service. And it's also directly linked to the condition of the main parking lot that our businesses use, which is parking lot O. And so you'll see, and I'm trying to get Andy to get all the plans to everybody, but in this budget, one of the main things I want to do is actually build the trash consolidation that was suggested to us from our engineers and eliminate the numerous dumpsters behind all the businesses into one larger trash and recycling consolidation area. And I think that will assist here. It's enclosed. The whole idea is it's enclosed so animals don't get into it. And, maybe we can also reduce any even alternative measures that we would have to take. That's been the goal.
So this is by the rat.
No, we do, as the borough.
So we have definitely but also additionally
So it's very easy for us, right? We could just tell ourselves
Sure.
not to buy that. That's cool.
So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, just how do you get the, first of all, and again, if that's 93.2% of it, that's a pretty good run.
Yeah.
But
yeah, like I think with any band, you can ban,
Service.
So has the county stopped using this?
So right now, the coalition is approaching the county. One of the things I hyperlinked to was a resolution they're coming to with to the commissioners with, and that's more, to be honest, of businesses to no longer. It doesn't have the teeth, but remember, the county is in control of county property.
Well, that's my question. Is the county changing what they're doing?
Well, I think that's still in the mix.
Okay. Okay.
But I would tell you that Dale one, they seem to have. I'd like to, council wanted it forward, I'd like to ask Jimmy to contact Allendale, text of their resolution banning it in the town. Would that be a little bit more apples to apples?
I just want to point out, a resolution is only good for a calendar year.
Oh,
why don't we just, so I think I would hope, and that's us other.
Okay,
we're all
go ahead,
for it.
Adam.
Why don't we just do it? Like, this is a good
Oh, yeah.
example of like,
Yes.
we can control our own procurement. It's done. We don't need a
Right.
resolution. We don't need a council. We don't need 6 readings of it. Just, can we all agree as a council? We don't want this.
So even advance of Jimmy was already of that, but I do think just for that, like even 10 or some extra, we should have an ordinance where we can ban this because, well, there's so many reasons, but also the elephant in the room, we have the largest nature center in the whole area.
Councilman Menon, please.
Yeah, I think we should, I mean, we need to codify it, you know, in an ordinance anyway, but, you know, it's not just the borough that procures the stuff. It's also businesses, you know, contract with the pest service companies. And, you know, so basically every restaurant or business on Washington or wherever has to have for the Board of Health pest control services limiting pests. So, you know, if you limit it in the town, they'll have to put pressure on their pest control service to give them something different. And then if enough towns and enough people put pressure on those pest control companies, they will change the method that they're using.
Let's just make it more, there are alternatives, consume like price alternatives.
But so let me jump in here with the logistics of what I'm going to recommend. So this is one of these issues where we don't have to split the baby. We can actually do both things here. And I think perhaps Jimmy and Councilwoman Dr. O'Connor have a conversation because the issue of alternatives is very important. And you need to drag Mike Cassidy into this issue right away. And let's see how.
I think, just to jump in really quick, our pest control service, Cooper Pest Services, we should contact them first to be able to see if there are any alternatives, to be able to provide a service without having the rat poison boxes around town.
All right, so Jimmy will organize that effort, okay? And then, because we can control our own destiny and execute on that without a problem. It certainly sounds like there's council support. And then secondary to that, yeah, council, we have to look at an ordinance longer term so that even the town, you know, 10 years from now, they can't just, or, you know, whoever might be sitting here can't just arbitrarily decide to change what they're doing. And then how does this relate to businesses in town and all that sort of good stuff?
Also discuss the potential impact to residential uses as well.
Well, lots of questions. So as soon as we start writing, the creative juices start flowing and the answers will be revealed to us.
And just so for one of the hyperlinked pages where scroll down, the alternatives are listed at the bottom of one of the pages. That's the ones that are advocator, contra pest. So those are some things that put a dialogue with a person, service on our end and also. But yeah, I mean, ultimately, we do have to regulate ourselves out of some of these problems. If people's good nature, you know, I wish we could always just depend on people doing the right thing or something, but sometimes we'll do the most expedient thing. And then we'll pay real prices.
Okay. Jimmy and Wendy, you clarity on next steps with this? Okay, wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, Julie, for that. Okay, the next item on the agenda is the administrator's report. And I'm just going to jump in with a quick report here also, and then Jimmy will take on the balance of it. So as everyone's aware, on the dais here, we had an incident on Sunday where you know, a car was stolen. There was an occupant in the car. It could have been a whole lot worse. Obviously, thank goodness it wasn't. But so kind of as a result of that, I reached out to the governor had a conversation with the governor on Monday. with Colonel Callahan, who runs the state police, and last night with the Attorney General to talk about, because it's escalating and it's an issue and it's a real problem. It is not a problem just in Tenafly. It's a problem in numerous communities throughout the state. You know, the colonel of the state police gave me all kinds of, we talked about all kinds of statistics, 37%, and don't, whatever it might be, don't quote me on that number, but, a large number of stolen vehicles are used in the commissions of other crimes. And so the state is working on, the Attorney General is working on numerous issues statewide to help eliminate this. One of the issues is actually there's a whole conversation going on about insurance companies, how they pay off when people leave key fobs in their cars and things of that nature, because that's also a big part. That's a part of the problem. There's a whole discussion about the bail reform and how that has affected it, and kind of the revolving door with people getting let out right away after they get caught committing these crimes, that sort of thing. Some of the stuff that's going on in Tenafly on our local level, we're waiting for delivery of the first set of cameras. I think we're voting tonight in a resolution by the second set of cameras. And as we get closer, we've been talking to PSE&G about powering up our poles here. And a couple of details about these cameras is that they're going to have a couple of different actions going on. One, the cameras, which will be on virtually all exits and entrances into Tenafly, will have road entrances, will have a live feed. So if someone in the police station wants to watch live what's going on, they can do that. These cameras will have plate readers. The plate readers will capture the plates of every car coming in and out, and if there is a robbery, a car theft, or something like that, we'll be able to look right away, immediately, real time. We don't have to go to the county, get warrants. That information is immediately available to help in the investigation. Also, if a car is reported stolen in another jurisdiction, and it goes into the car reporting system of the police, these cameras will capture that car license plate and will immediately alert our police department real time that that stolen car has entered our town. So then the police can go about their business of trying to resolve that before it becomes a problem. So that's all underway at both the local and the statewide level. It's very, very serious. Anybody have any questions about that? No? Okay. All right, Jimmy, why don't you take it away from there?
Yeah, I just wanted to highlight two things in my report is the dog park update. So I just wanted to thank the scouts for their amazing work and continued work at the dog park. The pictures on here are from just one of 3 phases of the project. The project still will be ongoing without impact to the dog park and its users over the next 2 weekends. So just wanted to thank them.
Wait, the woodworking is stunning.
Get out there.
Yeah.
Adam, go
It is
visit it. It's insane.
What a great job.
Woodworking is
the boys
Go
really
out
did.
good
there.
job.
It's so good.
Thank you, Eagle Scouts.
Yeah, the scouts did a fabulous job. Jimmy and I have had a couple of conversations about the material, that's in the dog park, and some dog park users have raised questions about whether that's really the right material, because some of the stones are getting stuck in the dog's paws. I'm no expert on this, but Jimmy is doing some homework in the background to figure out if there's alternative sources and what it should be. There'll be more information to come on that topic. Go ahead, Jimmy.
Yep, and the other thing I wanted to bring up was the Bergen County grant opportunities. The letters of interest are due April 8th. So there's a list of projects, some that are eligible and aren't eligible, and then I believe a couple council members also wanted to highlight and explain the drawing that was attached as well as one of the ideas under eligible grant uses.
So I want to talk about the grant, Jimmy, with the Davis Johnson. Do we have any information about what it would make to have a an archive room because as Jeff and I unfortunately have seen, those documents are historical documents, are not protected in any way from the elements, from the heat, from moisture. And we're actually losing our history.
Documents now.
They're in a closet in Davis Johnson.
That building itself is not historic, correct?
No, but
No, we
there's
still like-
troves of documents, original newspapers, things that are wearing like
So
pictures.
wait a minute, so these documents are just kind of stored in the warehouse sort of manner in there?
They're literally.
Filing cabinets and boxes.
And just sitting out.
You're talking about the office and the.
Oh,
It-
okay.
It's almost like attached to the outside garage too. So every time you open the
It's
garage,
in the garage.
the moisture's and weather's getting in there.
Okay, so this is a bit of a new topic, so we have to look at that.
Well, yeah, I mean, this wouldn't be eligible just because that facility itself is not a historic.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask.
Yeah.
But
While it's a worthy project, that I think it falls under the eligibility.
So let's
criteria.
find out what's going on with these documents. though.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because obviously,
supposed to be old, and they haven't been because the rest of our historical documents are in the library, which is having water damage. So now we really do need though a temperature and climate controlled space for these.
Reach out to the county clerk. He might have
There.
temporary
What?
storage. The county clerk might
They're
have
amazing.
storage.
I have not seen them. I will have to check that out for myself.
They're right. We had a great time looking at them.
Yes,
So
Councilor
we
Park.
can reach out to the county clerk. He might have scanning, the proper scanning for historical documents, because he does it all.
Mhm.
And he might have temporary storage while we look
Okay.
into fix it.
Go ahead. Jeff was gonna say what
I was
was in
going
there.
to say, it's not just documents. We actually have artifacts.
Oh,
I mean, it's pretty outrageous what's in there.
no, we have to figure out what's there and
Mhm.
do something useful.
It's
with it.
been many years ago, it was put into folders, so it is actually organized in some way. There are photos that go back 120 years.
Really?
It's on glass.
Let's definitely get that scanned or whatever.
And so when we were doing the 125th celebration, we went, Jeff and I, to look at these. I mean, it's fascinating, fascinating.
Have to get myself over there.
Yes.
Anytime you want, Mayor,
After this
Jeff,
meeting
take you.
tonight.
Let Jeff take you. He's just a wealth of knowledge.
After this meeting tonight.
Okay, so that
Maybe
one's
this
off.
weekend, Jeff. Maybe this weekend.
maybe, yeah.
Okay.
We just need a
All
key to
right.
get in there.
Okay.
So on another one of these, if that one's not eligible, there's a high school student who reached out to me for help with community service. And I had asked her, with the council's permission, to help me look into whether there's any funding or grants, although we haven't started this yet, we're gonna work with, I have to present it to the HPC, but for the women's suffrage concept, the museum. So that one, I'm gonna say I'll take off the list because it's not ready. But I would love, Julie, if you want to work on this with me, I'd love to see one day a 19th Amendment or suffrage museum here in Tenafly. Yeah.
But to Julie's point, is some council members would to discuss pool area. So see sketch here on active/passive projects in the feel like really serve interests in the community. And let Dan take it one through.
Well, is that, before we get into the details of that, I mean, I just don't think that right now for the grant that's also, maybe that should also be tabled out of this list and separated. Because we need to pick a grant. We have like 1 week to pick this grant.
I actually spoke with the open space coordinator of the county, and this is actually a perfect project.
Well, I have a competing open space on that area and I'd like to be able to have the time to present that before we made any decisions. And so again, I'd like to table that one for a longer discussion of what to do with the properties over there. So I'd like to take that one off the list.
Considering that we only have until April 8th, I
need
think
to
we
decide.
decide tonight.
Well, I want to go through some of the small.
No, I want to
No, you need
decide
to
tonight.
decide tonight, or the grant is gonna be lost.
Correct. So we have other things that we have here. I really think we should do possibly the Tennekill Brook, which was Julie's idea of shoring up the Tennekill Brook. We heard from our students today about the state of that brook. Rock walls, flood prevention. I think that's
I think
Very
I would-
resident, that's
With
not-
those, with with this
You're
round.
right, not eligible. Okay,
I wanted to share what everyone wanted, but yes, I should have put eligible, non-eligible.
So.
again, what's eligible, why don't Jimmy tell us what's
Yeah,
eligible?
let me-
Sure. Go ahead.
Before you start with that, how many of these grants is the council able to, just
One.
one? Okay, now go ahead. What's
Yeah.
not eligible?
Well, the ones that are eligible are the preservation plan for the railroad station building. Bathroom and ceiling upgrades, McCandless Room Youth Center. Resco Park,
Let me finish this list.
the landscaping, Roosevelt Monument, Tennis Court, Skate Park, municipal field beautification, and the pool property active and passive open space projects.
So look, the things that our residents are using right now are definitely the McCandless Room and the youth center. But again, if we're gonna be taking off the roof, so maybe that one's not the most appropriate right now. I love the proposal from BFJ for Resco Park. I think that was adding some more community space to the park that's closest to our downtown. There was a table space, there was an active space proposed, a small one, so that most of it remains passive, but that we at least create additional uses for our residents right there. I thought BFJ had a nice concept for that. Is anyone else interested in that one?
So, yeah, let's get some other council viewpoints here.
So of all the things on this list, the most needed work is a rock-filled pool.
A what?
A rock-filled pool.
Didn't we pay for that already?
You want to keep it rock-filled forever?
No, of course not, but I think that project is
Here's a
very
idea.
big. I have a different idea. I don't think that
It's
we
not
want to
on
get
the
into
list,
the,
Unfortunately.
well, I don't want to get into the nitty gritty of fighting about what to do with a ginormous piece of property right now in a small grant discussion.
So this is just a blueprint. If
I have a different blueprint, Dan, and I haven't had an opportunity to present it.
Okay, so let's get some more. We've got two council members' opinions. Who else has, Julie?
So basically, I've spent a very long time, over a year, talking to different people about their different needs. And with this pool area of over 2 acres, I truly believe that we can combine many different needs that I keep hearing about. So for one thing, ADA compliant gardens, this particular area was scouted before the pandemic by Carol Hodges because it is tall enough for people with wheelchairs to be able to access it. Also, for the skate park, which is really better named, a multi-use, community space, moving it from the Roosevelt Commons, bringing it over to the footprint of the pool is able to address active recreation. Additionally, since we heard Colliers present about this particular area, that any place in this footprint that we are able to reclaim would be looked at very positively and go through the least amount of review because we're actually returning some of it to green. There were areas here that can be reclaimed for passive area. So we would keep the dog park area. It would move the plaza, the multi-use plaza over there. It would have some passive, and then of course you'd have renovated bathrooms and filling stations. I've honestly, and just to the point about the brook area, we know that's a very flood prone area and that planting trees and getting any of that shored up that we could. I've really spent a long time with so many, colleagues and so many discussions about people's interests. I think that this area, and it would be a price tag large enough that would warrant trying for this grant that could get half of it funded through the county. I think this checks the most boxes, in my opinion, not the least of which is able to take what was the State Plaza, which initially had been talked about over at Roosevelt Commons, and moving it over to that area. But what excites me as a council person and as a member of the community is creating a space where you can have gardeners, passive wildlife watchers, dog parents, as well as, you know, teenagers and younger people learning to skate all in one place. Like, that's exactly what we want to create in a community. So I feel this is the one that I would support going forward for the grant opportunity.
So again, I still, I'm going to say there's also other environmental issues that we're not going to bring up right now that are much more complicated on this property that aren't for open session. And so I'm going to, I'm not saying not to discuss this. We absolutely 100% should be discussing the development of this property. You know, I'm the first one to want to renovate these pool spaces. But for this grant, which is due today, I don't think it's an appropriate topic. It is not fleshed out enough. And there's other issues that are not addressed by this plan that will prohibit us from doing half this plan. So again, I'm going to ask my council to move off of this concept and to actually talk about the grant that we have to decide tonight. And I'm sorry, the only thing you're going to get out of this grant then is a study. So if you just want to study this, we already have an engineering study of this property. We already have Mazer doing this study. We already have topography. We have environmental issues. We have all sorts of other things that Mazer has done for us. We've already spent money on some of that. So either we do a study here or we actually move on to one of these other grants for our residents, and we have to decide tonight.
Go ahead, please.
All right. We've now spent 2 hours. We've barely gotten through anything on the agenda. So Robert's Rules of Order is coming alive here. We need to start acting on things. So my recommendation is Jimmy gave us a list of things that are eligible for this grant. I think we need to just sort of go through them one by one, see if we have consensus on any of them. And that's it. We are a body that works by consensus on this stuff. We just need to make a decision. We're going to sit here and engage in all the discussion and not get this grant.
All right, so let's go to the top of the list then.
And before we do that, the one thing I will ask for future reports is, like I've asked for this before, the Oresco path. We have a grant for that. Anything that we've gotten a grant for, we need to know where we're at in the process.
Yeah, I will, understood, and I'll provide you with an update. I'm waiting from Colliers to provide us with a proposal on that project.
I actually had told you that we don't need a proposal from them in terms of the path. We have it because when the park was originally done, there was a path going from the monument. The alternate path. It's there. And if you need help finding it, I'll help you, but we don't need to reinvent the wheel here.
Okay.
Just need to get done, but now let's go through the list and see if there's consensus.
So we've got, okay, everyone, we've got 6 eligible projects. I'm going to go down the list. The first one is the preservation plan for the railroad station building. Is there any interest in using this for that?
Yes,
One person is interested in that.
I'm interested in a lot of these.
Okay. Preservation plan for the railroad station building. Is there any interest in that? We've got one council member who's interested in that.
Can I vote more than once, or I just have to vote one?
You just vote if you're interested in it. See if you can get some votes on anyone.
Right. Let's, okay.
No, under that, I'm
We're
interested, that's two.
putting this as a consensus. We're going to see what happens. Okay.
I'm interested in that, so.
In what?
The railroad station.
Railroad station.
Okay. All right. So bathroom and ceiling upgrades in McCandless Room and Youth Center. I would recommend, based on our previous conversations, that we probably shouldn't use this money for that.
You missed the second one, though.
No, it's not eligible. We're only talking about
Oh,
what's
sorry,
eligible.
not eligible.
Does the council agree with that issue? We'll skip the bathroom case. My plan got 0 votes. Perfect. Okay. Oresco Park upgrades as presented by BFJ.
Yes.
We've got the landscaping work near Roosevelt Monument, tennis court, and skate park.
Definitely.
Yes.
It's okay. We're doing process of elimination.
No, no. Like the landscape, what is the landscaping work? Sounds cool. Do we know what we're talking
We have to make a plan.
There has to be a plan developed, or
Landscape
any more than we know.
about?
With
Plan for that section.
Correct. Okay, so we're good. Municipal field beautification and landscaping.
Yes. Wait, are we not, what are bottle filling stations, Jimmy? It's not in?
No.
Okay, so we got two people interested in that one. All right, the pool property, active and passive open space projects. Who's interested in that? Julie likes that one. Manu likes that one. And Dan and Jeff like that one.
The only concern in four votes is great, it's fine. This is a massive, like, this is one of the biggest areas that we have. We've spoken about it a little bit on and off. It just feels weird to me, and I'm happy to lose sort of two.
You can't.
Out of thin air, the first time we speak about something, and we're gonna literally take action on it within 30 seconds of, this is like a massive, fundamentally massive piece. So again.
I'd rather
I lose-
separate that one out.
Doesn't matter. Look, or two. I'm just saying, it's just weird to me that this comes out of nowhere.
So this came from, I mean, we've talked about this property multiple times. Mazer's come in front of us, gave us that report about how this part is wetlands and this part is flood, blah, blah, blah. So this was, and then we got a list of everyone's input on what they wanted. There's passive, we got the dog park in, the ADA garden was requested. This is just a little bit of everything and
Well,
laid out.
It used to be, I don't know how big this, again, I've seen this for a few hours. I don't know how big this multi-use space is, but the exception of that, it's 100% passive. We have the largest, the open space report from the planning board says that we are over-indexed in passive space in this town. We are under-indexed in active space in this town.
Correct, and putting that in mind.
And again,
With
it's
the
still passive
rules,
space.
with the rules of the property that Mazer Colliers presented, it's working within the confines of that. You can't lay down new concrete, you can't go up too much. It's all within the boundaries we can work on in this property.
Okay.
It's the best we can do.
Hold on a second. I'm going to
Unfortunately.
interrupt for a second. I've just been discussing with our attorney here. And she's advising us that we should have a closed session conversation for like 5 minutes. So I need a motion from the council
So moved.
and a second.
Second.
Okay, so all in favor? Any opposed? Okay, so we're going to go into, just so the audience, we're going to go into a closed session discussion to discuss a legal matter. And we'll be about 5 minutes and then we'll be right back. The microphones and the video will continue to session, please. Second,
Second.
all in favor?
I don't
Okay.
understand what we're asking for in this grant.
Okay, so hold on one second. Thank you for the public's indulgence. We
Again.
took our 5 minutes. So Jimmy, just a clarification on what we're asking for in this grant.
Is it a study, architectural, landscaping? What are we asking for?
What's
How much
the,
does it
so
cost?
when we submit this grant request on April 8th, what are we asking for? What's the what happens?
Asking for study here?
No, it seems like this is actual work.
We don't have an engineering quote on this.
So my understanding is that right now it would be the letter of interest that you're putting out there to the county to get feedback on it. And then you would have another, I believe, month's time in order to get the actual proposal together for the grant application. Right now it's a letter of interest, but you have to identify your project.
Jeff?
So the project that I would envision being identified is engaging a landscape architect, coming up with a design and implementing the design.
Seems that way.
Okay? Because I know if we omit certain elements of that it doesn't get included in the grant.
Okay, I'm just going to go around the table and ask everyone's opinion on what project is number one for them. Okay, so Dan?
The pool property.
Jeff?
Pool property.
Lauren?
This is not an appropriate.
Answer the question.
Yeah.
That's where we are.
It's not that the pool property isn't a priority. Of course it would be, but not for this grant. And I cannot reiterate enough the mistake I
Your
think.
priority for this grant.
I would pick a Resco Park, which is resident facing.
Okay. Vanu,
The pool property.
Adam, Julie? Have clarity, Jimmy?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Is there anything else in the administrator's report you wanted to bring up with the council?
That is the mayor. Thank you.
What'd you say?
That is it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, next on the list is correspondence. Everyone, what happened with this correspondence, so everyone's clear, is I received a packet in my mailbox in the Borough Hall here with a copy of this letter for each council member. So I don't know if I gave it to you, Omar, or I just put it in everyone's box directly, and we added it to the correspondence for the council meeting. And Wendy, did you want to make a comment about this, or?
Yeah, so I received a similar letter from the attorney for the resident, to which I replied with what the actual procedures would be to request a hardship appeal. And I would imagine that the copy of the letter to multiple council members might have been an attempt to comply with that, but it's not quite in compliance with what the ordinance would require for a hardship appeal to the council. So I will work together with, if it's okay with the council, I'll work together with Jimmy and Omar to make clear to the resident what they would need to submit to request that appeal.
Everyone's okay with that? Okay, thank you, Wendy. Thank you, Omar. Okay, so that was the only correspondence. This is the original public comment time, and we're still going to keep it in place. Audience members wishing to speak will have a 3-minute time limit to address the governing body on items, items on the committee of the whole agenda. Large groups are asked to have a spokesperson represent them. Omar, are there any people out there in the Zoom world that are looking like they're interested in speaking?
See no hands, Mayor.
Okay, if any members of the public online want to unmute themselves, they could also just kind of shout out right now. Okay, no? All right, are there any members of the public in the chambers here who would like to speak? Christine Everon, please step up to the microphone.
Christine Everon, 39 Leroy Street. Couple quick points. Street closures for Sunday. I did poll the businesses. There are 7 businesses that are open on Sunday. They are very anxious that the residents have quick access to their business, like Wine Ventures and Shea Cheese in particular, that people need to be able to drive up and purchase their properties. As far as the outdoor dining on the street, if that's what you're contemplating, considering, the businesses wanted to remind you that every time you close off the street for outdoor dining, you're taking away their resident parking. I know we've had some very generous developers who have paid for a parking study that says we have too much parking in town, but they included the parking lot behind Borough Hall, the 100 spots there in the parking. And we have a lot of people in Tenafly that both the mom, dad, and the 2.4 kids all have their own cars. So we have a higher need than parking than many other places in the state. We need parking for our businesses. To just freely give street dining to businesses hurts other businesses. I also have a large quantity of photos from the last 2 years showing that most of the outdoor dining spaces were not used for outdoor dining, with the exception of brasserie. Just something to keep in mind. If you really want me to produce all those photographs, I will, with their timestamps. As far as spending money on things that are important in the town, our train station is our center to identity to Tenafly. It is one of the most beautiful train stations in the country. I think it's number 4 out of 10. It's definitely in the top 10. I am very concerned that you keep not putting money towards restoring it and making it safe. We need a fire suppression system there. Please put aside money from the COVID money or somewhere else so we can not have this train station go up in flames like First Pres did or Notre Dame did. Neither of those places had opened fire cooking. We need to fix the lighting on the train station and make it safe so it doesn't burn down and we lose our icon.
Okay, so I'm going to interrupt you. Are you done? I want to interrupt you there for a second, but you're going to be able to continue because you've asked an important question that was a topic we were talking about today. And perhaps, Jimmy, you can fill in the public about the fire suppression topic we discussed today and the electrical and lighting.
Yeah, I mean, as we are conducting design plans for electrical upgrades at the railroad station, along with lighting design schematics for the outside, for the exterior lighting, we are factoring in, or ask the architects to factor in such a system to be included going forward. So we are doing our due diligence to preliminary planning to include that in the building. Mhm. It's also on the HPC board's mind as well as a probably a big ticket project for near.
Two things with the park, dog park. Now, this is me as a resident, not Chamber of Commerce. I've had a request to put in, or ask you to put in a bike pump track, which apparently is something that many residents can use. That just circles the skate park and it has texture that the bicyclists bicycle in.
It's this.
It kills things. Anyway, if you could add that into your plans for the.
Okay, is that like, the first thing that comes to my mind is like at a dog track, it's the rabbit that runs on the track?
Going.
What, go ahead. Okay. Okay. Go ahead.
Sorry. And a hose at the dog park to wash the stone down. That's it. And my last comment is on the food trucks. One, make sure the downtown area includes the deli up on County Road. It goes quite a bit, our commercial eateries that pay taxes go past Chestnut Street. We've got La Promenade, we've got that whole area up there. We shouldn't have a
That's a good point.
food truck running around. And my personal take as a resident is the ice cream truck is noisy. There's always some trash from it. Kids can't go getting in their car and going downtown to buy ice cream as part of childhood, so I don't object to the ice cream truck. Adults can get in their car. I don't have to have a coffee truck running around my neighborhood. Just my thought.
Okay, thank you, Christine. Any other members of the public want to speak? Don? No? Okay. All right, thank you. We're going to close public comment. Are there any questions on the resolutions? None. Wonderful. Okay. Any questions on the minutes or the public hearings?
Sorry, just had
Oh, go ahead, Vinod,
a
yes.
question for Jimmy, actually, just to go back to the administrator's report. The J Street Railroad crossing, any updates on that?
Unfortunately, no, outside of just having the preliminary meeting for the detour for the closure for when the work happens. We haven't gotten any updated timeframes or any further communication from the contractor or CSX.
We're waiting for the start date.
The next steps?
I mean, it's an approved project for this year. They just have to wait for NJDOT to be able to tell them to actually do it, even though it's approved for this year.
All right, thanks.
Okay, for the good of the order, anyone have anything? Okay, old business. There's one item here and one I'm going to bring up right after that. Designate movie theater historical.
Oh, wait.
Go ahead. Lauren had put it on, so Omar, let's move that to the next available meeting, okay? All right. I'm just going to go over a quick thing with under old business. We've previously spoken about the Chestnut Street parking ordinance to address some of the issues over there. We have had conversations and communications with one of the residents over there. We've talked to the police chief. We had a conference call this week. we're ready to bring a draft ordinance or an edited ordinance to the council at the next meeting. So you'll receive that before the next meeting. It effectively, we're making a change to Chestnut Street. You know, we originally thought, let's do a broad thing, but frankly, it's probably too much too soon because we're not sure how it will affect all the traffic. So we want to start with this one street and go from there. And you'll all see that prior to the next meeting where we can discuss it and possibly move it forward. Did you want to say something, Jimmy?
Yeah, Mayor, just very briefly, just to add to that, the original draft ordinance was shared with not just with one resident, but the group of residents as they came and have contacted the borough collectively as a group. So that pretty much the spokesperson and I have been communicating, shared the draft ordinance, got feedback from them as a group, and then discussed it as the mayor outlined with the police chief, the attorney, self, Mark, and then I've also communicated back to the resident to also communicate back to the group of residents, pretty much the general outline of to be considered at a meeting, you know, potential introduction and adoption, and just kind of informing them of the council meeting dates for them to continue to be informed of the process and be involved.
So far.
Yeah, I believe so. I mean, they did give some feedback. We weren't able to accommodate all their requests by recommendation of both the police chief and attorney. But one or two concessions were made as part of their feedback.
But they understood the reasoning behind
Yeah.
concerns or whatever.
Yeah, I haven't heard back from them, but I did communicate to the group that, you know, while we considered everything, we weren't able to accommodate everything. And that came by recommendation of, you know, again, the attorney and police chief. So absolutely. They've been involved, again, as a group collectively as they approach the borough with some involvement appropriately.
Okay, could I get a motion to adjourn the
So moved.
second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we're going to go right into the public meeting. In compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act, PL 1975, Chapter 231, the notice requirements have been satisfied. The meeting dates for the year are confirmed at the annual meeting are posted on the public bulletin board in the lobby of the municipal center and published in the record within the first 10 days of the new year. Salute to the flag, please. Omar, roll call, please.
Councilmember Dayton. Councilmember Grossman.
Here.
Councilmember Menon.
Here.
Councilmember Michaels. Councilmember Dr. O'Connor. Councilmember Park.
Here.
Mayor Zena.
Here. Oh, okay. Could I have a motion to approve the minutes of March 8th, March 22nd, and March 26th, all 2022? Second?
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Okay. Counselor, are there any revisions to the agenda? Okay, this is public comment time. Audience members wishing to speak will have 3-minute time limit to address the governing body. Large groups are asked to have a spokesperson represent them. This is public comment for any issue whatsoever, not just what's on the agenda. Omar, are there any members of the public out in Zoom there who wish to speak?
I see no hands, Mayor.
Okay, any members of the public in the chambers here that wish to speak? Hearing none, seeing none, we're going to close public comment. Move on to the consent agenda. Could I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Omar, could you please call the roll?
Councilmember Dayton. Councilmember Grossman.
Yes.
Councilmember Menon.
Yes.
Councilmember Michaels. Councilmember Dr. O'Connor. Councilmember Park.
Yes.
Everything all right?
I just wanted to point out as you all may have seen, the change order for the pools was an actual reduction, not an increase. So I just wanted to point that out. Yeah, which we sought to do the same process, but it was a reduction.
Doesn't happen very
Yeah.
often.
Okay, we're going to go right into our public hearings. The first one is 2205, non-represented salary ordinance. Omar, could you please read the confirmation of publication of the ordinance and the title of the ordinance?
Sure, Mayor. Ordinance number 22-05, which was published in the Friday, March 25th edition of the record, is an ordinance to amend the title, salary, wage, or compensation of employees of the Tenafly Administrative Employees Bargaining Unit for the calendar years 2020, 2021, 2022, and 2023.
I'm opening the floor for public comments on only ordinance 22-05. Omar, are there any members of the public out there in the virtual world or here who wish to speak?
I see no hands, Mayor.
Okay, we're going to close public comment. Councilwoman Dr. O'Connor, would you like to make the motion, please?
Thank you. I move to pass and adopt on second and final reading ordinance 22-05, and that notice of same shall be published according to law.
Do I have a second, please?
Second.
Omar, can you please call the roll?
Councilmember Dayton, Councilmember Grossman,
Yes.
Councilmember Menon,
Yes.
Councilmember Michaels, Councilmember Dr. O'Connor, Councilmember Park.
Yes.
Okay, ordinance 2206, Administrative Employee Bargaining Unit Salary Ordinance. Omar, can you please read the confirmation of publication and title?
Sure. Ordinance number 22-06, which was published on Friday, March 25th edition of the record, is an ordinance to fix the salary, wage, or compensation of certain management, administrative, civilian dispatcher, and part-time employees of the Borough of Tenafly in the County of Bergen and State of New Jersey for the calendar years 2020, 2021, 2022, and 2023.
I'd like to open the floor for any public comment on ordinance 2206 only. Omar, do you see anyone in virtual or here who wants to comment?
See no hands, Mayor.
Okay, we're going to close public comment. Councilman Michaels, would you like to make the motion, please?
Move to pass and adopt on second and final reading. 6, that notice of the same shall be published according to law.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion, Omar, could you please call the roll?
Councilmember Dayton, Councilmember Grossman,
Yes.
Councilmember Menon,
Yes.
Councilmember Michaels, Councilmember Dr. O'Connor, Councilmember Park.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Introduction of new business ordinance 2207, bond ordinance providing for various capital improvements. Councilman Menon, would you like to make a motion?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Pardon me? Oh, forgive me, I made a mistake there. Thank you, both of you. Committee reports, we'll start with Councilman Park.
Nothing to report.
Councilman Grossman.
The Tenafly Presents is making continued progress. We're meeting weekly to come up with a wonderful offering of concerts for the summer. Let's see, HPC, we did have a meeting today, which you referred to already, Mr. Mayor, about the train station and the lighting, so I will not go into any further detail on that. I'm just making sure. I don't recall that I had a chance to report on the March 28th meeting of TBAC. And I did want to just update council members that in February, there were 57 calls that they responded to with a 7-minute average response time. And their wait time at each call was an average of 36 minutes. And they are going to be helping cover, I'm not even going to list all the events, there's so many, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 events between now and July 4th that they're going to help cover, which ranges everything from the street fair that we just had to the Reuben Run, Pride Parade. They are going to be having a blood drive, date to be determined still, and so hopefully we'll be able to message that when they do pick a date. It'll probably be up at Davis Johnson in the garden room. That's
Very
it.
good. Thank you. Dan,
Sorry, I skipped 2 things. April 24th, Trash-a-thon, so get signed up for that. And, sorry, where'd it go? Oh, big shout out to the Boy Scouts. The work they did at the dog park is, please get down there. It's phenomenal how those benches look and what they did. They cleaned up a portion of it too.
I forgot because I didn't write up my notes yet, but last night Stigma Free met. They are going to be doing a lime out. They're working on that event for one of the school sporting events. They've done this every year. But in addition, I'm going to announce, because this is part of their mission, that this is April. April is Autism Awareness Month. And so everybody should be aware of that, and that it's an incredibly high percentage of our population, especially in this area, that have autism and varying degrees. And to reminder that they are all, just like everyone else, fantastic people with strengths, weaknesses that we all have. So that's my report.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Menon.
Sure. So I'm happy to see that there are two two of my committee reports, the people involved with that here, the Chamber of Commerce and the Senior Center. There was a Senior Center board meeting last month, and in that one, they went over the different activities, such as Tina Turner is coming up tomorrow. There's the Hunterdon Hills Playhouse update, and that's filling up quickly. It may already be filled, but that's coming up. There is an update on the membership there, as the chairman said last time. They're up to like 315 or 320, and it's been slowing down, but they're still getting memberships. They discussed the budget, and they presented the budget to us. So Tricia, the assistant, is still out. The assistant manager is still out, but they've had volunteers helping out, for the past 3 months, and things have been going quite well with that. They raised a concern at the meeting about, if something with the assisted living center did go through, having an increase in the senior population in town, and this would also necessitate getting a senior center sooner rather than later, a bigger senior center. So they expressed that concern. They are also starting to do their own grants. So there was a grant submitted to AARP to fix the front bushes, et cetera, for up to $15,000. So, and they're looking into additional grants as well. There are other trips that, for example, there's a Yankees game date coming up. I'm sorry? Oh, okay. Right. They're going to do it in-house, not at the stadium. But
Not if it rains out.
well, it'll still, right.
That's the most important part.
On June 9th, they also wanted me to say that there's an event that's going to be happening for the men in senior men, which they wanted to highlight men's activities and games and things like that. So that's a senior center. The zoning board met yesterday, and there were 3 applications that came up. One was for a house on Old Smith Road, where they were adding to an existing garage. They were adding additional garage space, and they were also going to put a breezeway between the house and this newly enlarged garage. And that would all become a part of the principal residence. And because it was the principal residence, and because the garage was already like 2 feet away from the property line, the neighbor's property line, this actually made it 1 foot and 4 inches away. So they came for a request for variance, and that was approved. So that was one. The second one was constructing a covered patio for the rear dwelling, and it would have increased the impervious coverage to, or it would have decreased the existing, 46% impervious coverage to 40%. But the FAR, the FAR had gone up to about 25% from 22.5 permitted. Anyway, that was the patio was approved contingent on a resolution prohibiting closing in the patio at a future date. And the third one was for an addition, a second floor addition to the house, which would have doubled the floor access ratio. And it would have been too big an ask because it was up at 37.49%, where 30% was permitted, but they didn't turn it down. The applicant requested being able to take it back and amend the plan, so they'll bring it to the next meeting. So that were the three from yesterday's meeting. And then with the Chamber of Commerce, you've heard some of Christine's comments already. The only additional thing I'll say is that they're suggesting businesses switch to alternatives on the coagulant, the rat poison, the rodenticide. So I think that's going to go out immediately to all the businesses. They're going to suggest alternatives.
Thank you. Councilman Michaels?
Yes.
Councilwoman Dr. O'Connor?
That day, I'll give you the times and all that. There are now just moving forward the cameras to cover and the to be joint security tonight. There are dollar grants for evaluation. Might be going for it. Still a little we're hoping for that grant or something. So still in the mix. That's the
Okay, thank you. Okay, we're going to introduce an ordinance 2207, the bond ordinance providing for various capital improvements. Councilman Menon, would you like to make the motion, please?
Sure. I move to introduce and pass on first reading ordinance 22-07 and set the hearing for April 26, 2022 at 8 p.m. or as soon thereafter.
Could I have a second, please?
Second.
Omar, can you please read the title of the ordinance and conduct a roll call?
Ordinance number 2207, the bond ordinance providing for various capital improvements by the Borough of Tenafly, appropriating the aggregate amount of $1,830,150. Therefore, including a grant in the amount of $206,000 expected to be received from the State of New Jersey Department of Transportation, and authorizing the issuance of $1,742,000 in bonds or notes of the borough to finance part of the cost thereof. Councilmember Dayan? Councilmember Grossman?
Yes.
Councilmember Menon?
Yes.
Councilmember Michaels?
Yes.
Councilmember Dr. O'Connor?
yes.
Councilmember Park?
Okay, for my only mayor's remarks this evening, I'm just going to talk about the street fair on Saturday. I think it went very well. And for me personally, I went up to visit the Girl Scouts and I purchased one of every type of cookie they had that day, which they're very excited about. And my son and I are very excited at home to have the Girl Scout cookies. So thank you, Girl Scouts, for being there. And with that, I'll take a motion to adjourn. Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Have a good night, everyone.
Good night.
Lace